Hello everyone, welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about my newest bunny build for Season 1. This is most likely the best bunny build in the game, and I know a lot of people say that, but this is just a very intricate build, and what allowed this to happen is obviously the new changes to the way you can catalyze characters, but as you can see, the boss kill on the Devourer is an 11-second kill, so that's very good, and the other builds are going to be focusing on the hard operations, specifically the new invasion dungeons, as well as just general farming. And there is a fully optimized build for every single thing that you will ever be doing on Bunny. And that's why I say it's a very intricate build. There's a lot of things you're going to need for this build. It's almost unnecessary to build Bunny this way, and if you guys just wanted to use 10 catalyst spots and not really have to get as many pieces and weapons, reactors, etc., you can go to my other bunny build. It works just fine. I used it forever. It's using like bionic fuel, and you always have 100% uptime with sprinting. And there is an operations build, however this one is just better. And I am going through an invasion right now, and this is the Magister's Lab one. I think I do it in like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the hard reward levels for like the time is 5 minutes, so I cleared it in almost half the time. And from the gameplay you can see that like we pretty much never run out of sprint. We are using high voltage, so this is an Ultimate Bunny exclusive builds. You will need Ultimate Bunny in order to be able to do this, but the main thing I prioritized with the farming builds and the operations builds was having low cost and a lot of MP to work with. And the reason for that is because a lot of times you're getting a lot of time in these from just running between instances in these invasions, and I didn't want to sacrifice too much damage on the Operation 1 specifically because you do need to kill a boss at the end, and some of the enemies are difficult to kill, and for that we didn't want to sacrifice too much damage by going way too hard on the MP, and overall you're not running like crazy distances like you would on the farming builds. With my farming build you could probably damn near run across the entire world in one MP bar. It's absolutely crazy, and if you're actually fighting anything then you literally will not run out. Like it's damn near impossible. And then as you can see from this clip, we are swapping to Greg's Reverse Fate as soon as the boss is actually able to take damage. We're still having our lightning emission being procced, but I found that if I wanted to kill him in one phase, then Greg's Reverse Fate just was what was able to do the most damage in that time frame and actually defeat the boss and get these crazy times. So as you can see, I did it in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's about half of the time that they give you for the hardest reward possible. So you're doing these very comfortably, and you have tons of HP, tons of defense that you're just never going to die. And the reason we have so much HP is because sometimes in these invasions, the bosses will literally have like heat-seeking bullets that cannot miss you unless you play around cover, and cover isn't always possible to play around because sometimes they're like wide open like areas, and in that case we just want as much HP and some defense, because defense doesn't really affect some of these bullets that the invasion bosses are using. Sometimes they're elements, and defense has no effect on that at all, but almost 16,000 health does have an effect on that. So now we're going to be taking a look at the first build, which is the farming builds. You're getting about 200k per pulse. It's nothing crazy, but it doesn't need to be. Obviously the main thing that we're talking about with this is going to be maximum sprint speed. So as you can see, my MP bar is like not moving at all. And I even sped up the video, and I ran around the entire laboratory like in one singular MP bar. That's probably enough to get you across any region map in this entire game. And again, like I said, if you're actually doing anything like killing enemies, you're just never going to run out because we have MP collector and things like that. For the weapon of this build, we're using the Final Masterpiece. You don't need to. It's just what I had for my reactor. The reactor we want is one with range, electric damage, skill critical hit damage, cost, but range and cost are probably the most important. We have 2-piece annihilation set. The two things you want on this are max MP, MP recovery out of combat, max HP, and MP recovery in combat. We then have 2 supernova pieces. We have 5,000 HP and 22k defense. Fairly squishy, but again, this isn't for like hard content. This is just for farming specifically. For the modules of the build, you can swap in a Transcendent mod, either Electric Transition or Superconductor, but it's not necessary. We then have Maximize Range, Maximize Conservation for less skill cost, Nimble Fingers for more cooldown that gives us 100% uptime. And then we have Decimator. This is very good because at all times you're pretty much going to have a 50% boost in skill power modifier, so it's very good. We have Focus on Electric and Focus on Singular Focus on Singular being in here is actually a mistake, so you could swap that out to Singular Specialist. It gives you a little bit more Singular Power modifier, and it still gives you 100% uptime because we have that 2-piece Annihilation. We then go on to MP Collector for our MP Sustain, Skill Expansion for even more range, increased HP, and Strong Mentality for even more reduced cost, bringing us to about minus 50% cost. So it is a 50% cost reduction, and sprinting for 1 second is going to cost you 12 MP, and we have 454 of it, meaning that we can sprint for 38 seconds straight without ever picking up an MP drop. And then the next build we're going to be talking about is the bossing builds, and the damage on this one is pretty spectacular, as you saw from the opening clip with the Devourer, but it is about 2.3 million per crit, and this is on an enemy that is weak to lightning, so it will be less versus Colossi, and it will be less versus enemies that are strong against electric. For the weapon of the build, we're using the Thunder Cage. These are my Thunder Cage modules, however, it is not necessary because I never shoot my gun. For the reactor, it is very important that you get additional damage when attacking Colossus, and the second one, Electric Skill Power Boost Ratio, is very good, but Singular Boost Ratio is slightly better. We then have the 4-piece Slayer set. This is the best for damage. You can pause the video for the substats. For the modules of the build, we're using High Voltage and Mid-Air Maneuvering. Mid-Air Maneuvering is the best here because it gives you the most ticks per grapple, which is very, very important for lightning mission damage. We have Spear and Shields, Skill Insight, Front Lines, Skill Simplification, Focus on Electric, Skill Concentration, Dangerous Ambush, Skill Expansion, HP Amplification, Emergency Measures, and this is just going to be stacking as much crit damage and chance as possible. And we still have that near 100% uptime on our lightning emissions, and the crits do crazy damage. And the last build we're going to be talking about is going to be the Bunny Operation builds. This is the one I'm using for the Invasion Dungeons. So we are using Greg's Reverse Fate, and these are my Greg's Reverse Fate modules. It's a lot of weak point, it's a lot of crit, a lot of damage in general. Very, very good weapon, probably the best weapon in the entire game, and what we use to kill the bosses in the operations. We are using another reactor on this one, and it is Thunder Cage mounting with crit hit damage and crit hit rate. So we are using a different reactor for each build. For the external components, we are also using different sets. You want a defense auxiliary power with max HP, and then again we want max MP on the Annihilation sensor, and MP recovery in combat, very important. And then for the other Annihilation set, it is electric, resistance, and defense. And then the last one is an HP support sensor for more HP. And this brings us up to 16,398 health and 14,500 defense, which is more than enough to survive pretty much every invasion and get through it with ease. The modules, we are using High Voltage, Long Distance Maneuvering. We then use HP Amp, Maximize Conservation, Skill Insight, and Decimator. Again, Decimator is going to give us basically 50% skill power modifier at all times. Very good. Focus on Electric, Singular Specialist, MP Collector, Skill Expansion, Increased HP, and Skill Concentration. This build is pretty much right in the middle of the farming builds and the boss build. You get a good amount of damage, better crit hit rate, better crit hit damage, but you still get a lot of MP that allows you to run between instances in the dungeons. And the lightning emission crits are about 1 million. And on Greg's, a weak point critical is nearly 700,000. And again, this is the weapon we're going to be used as soon as the boss is vulnerable. So we're just going to pull this out and fry him with it. You just want to make sure your lightning emission is up so that you can use that and get even more damage. The idea is to always kill him in the first phase and not have to get to a second one, because that's going to drastically hurt your time. But that's pretty much it for the build video. I kind of explained a lot in the beginning about how I kind of wanted to structure these builds and to make them the best. But overall, I feel like these are the most practical builds for every single instance in what you would need them for and what they're used for. And for that reason, I just feel like this is just, it's got to be the best bunny build in the game. But regardless, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time.